It's finally that time again. The calm before the storm. Training camp is right around the corner, and the Dallas Cowboys are about to board that team charter straight to Oxnard. But there's one thing on everyone's mind, not just what we'll see on the field, but what's happening off it, specifically with Micah Parsons. Now, I don't have to tell you how important Micah is to this defense. He's not just the anchor, he's the engine, the spark, the guy that makes everything go. But as we get ready to kick off camp, we're left with one big question. Will Micah even be participating? Now, don't get it twisted. We're not talking about a holdout here. No, this could be what they call a hold-in. That's when a player shows up, he's present, but he's not really putting on the pads or jumping into the drills. It's a message, a way to say, hey, I'm here, but y'all need to take care of this deal first. And look, nobody would blame him. The man has outperformed his rookie contract every single year. He's been in the league. But the Cowboys, they're known for dragging these things out. We've seen it with Dak. We've seen it with Zach Martin. And now here we are again. Thing is, they could technically ride out this year on Micah's fifth-year option, which would cost them around $24 million. Then, if they really wanted to get slick, they could even franchise tag him the year after that. That gives them time, yeah, but it also opens the door for drama, distractions, and maybe even a damaged relationship if it gets dragged out too long. And with a player like Micah, that's a dangerous game to play. This isn't just about the money. It's about respect, commitment, and sending the message that your superstars get taken care of. So here we are, counting down the days to camp, wondering how this all plays out. Will the front office finally step up and get this done before the team hits the field? Or are we in for another drawn-out saga? I'll tell you what, I'll be watching that Monday. Press conference like a hawk. Will it be Jerry talking? Will it be Steven? Will we get anything from Mike McCarthy or even shoddy shots? Doesn't matter who steps up to the mic. The real headline is whether Micah's deal gets done in time. Now, let me throw this out to you. Do you think Micah Parsons is going to actually hold in during training camp? Just drop a simple yes or no in the comments. I want to see what Cowboys Nation is thinking. And hey, if you're hyped for camp like I am, do me a solid and hit that like button. It's the easiest way you can support the channel and help us keep this content coming. We're gunning for 15,000 subscribers, and every click gets us one step closer. All right, let's get into what this deal might actually look like. So let's talk about the number that's got everybody buzzing. $45 million per year. Yeah, you heard that right. That's what insiders like Tom Pelissero are floating around as the likely number for Micah Parsons' new deal. And if you're like most fans, your first reaction was probably something along the lines of, 45? Are you serious? But before we start lighting up the comments with hot takes, let's take a step back and look at what's really going on in the market for elite defensive players. Now remember, it wasn't that long ago that Max Crosby was locking in around $35 million per year. Then came Myles Garrett, who pushed the ceiling to $40 million. And not long after that, TJ Watt bumped it just a little higher. You're seeing a pattern here, right? This thing's climbing fast. And just like quarterbacks, edge rushers are now commanding top-tier money. And Micah? He's not just in that conversation, he is the conversation. The Cowboys have waited to make this move, and that delay might cost them. Because every time another guy signs a record-breaking deal, the next one gets even more expensive. So yeah, $45 million sounds wild on paper, until you realize that's just the direction the league is going. And, honestly, if they don't get it done soon, it might creep up to $47 or even $50 by next offseason, depending on who signs next. And let's not forget, this isn't just about raw talent. Micah is a brand. He's the guy ESPN talks about, the guy offensive coordinators stay up late worrying about. He plays multiple positions, affects the game in ways most defenders simply can't. And let's be real, he puts butts in seats. The Cowboys have had stars before, but Micah, he's generational. So where does he fit into the current salary landscape? Dak Prescott's most recent restructure put his average annual value up to $55 million. That's quarterback money, sure, but it gives you a sense of scale. Micah coming in around $45 isn't that crazy when you think about impact, importance, and how central he is to this defense. He's a cornerstone, and cornerstones get paid. Let me ask you straight up, do you think Micah Parsons is worth more than guys like TJ Watt or Myles Garrett? I know some fans say it's too early. Others say he's already better. Drop your take in the comments. I really want to see where Cowboys Nation stands on this. And hey, if this breakdown helped you make sense of all the numbers getting thrown around, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're on a mission to hit 15,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there sooner than later. Next up, let's look at how the Cowboys can actually turn this massive number into a team-friendly win. All right, so now that we've accepted that $45 million per year is probably the going rate for a guy like Micah Parsons, the next question is, how do the Cowboys make that number work? Because let's be honest, this team is notorious for dragging out negotiations, but also for getting creative when it comes to structuring contracts. And if they play their cards right here, they could end up with a serious win. Not just for now, but for the long haul. So here's the big idea. It's not just about how much they pay Micah, it's about how long they keep him. 5 years. That's the magic number. If the Cowboys can lock Micah in for 5 full seasons at that $45 million mark, that comes out to $225 million. Sounds heavy, right? But it's all about timing and leverage, because here's the thing. The salary cap is exploding. Just over the past 2 seasons, the NFL's salary cap has jumped by $55 million. That's not a typo. 55. If that trend holds over the next 5 years, we're talking about the cap increasing by potentially another $140 million or more. So while $45 million per year might seem like a massive chunk of the cap today, in 3 or 4 years, it could look like a steal. Think about it this way. If the cap hits $420 million by 2029, which is entirely possible at this pace, then Micah's deal would represent just over 10% of the total team budget. That's a completely manageable number for a franchise player. And unlike other teams like the Eagles, who already have nearly $200 million committed, to future years, the Cowboys have kept their long-term cap commitments light. As of now, Dallas only has about $40 million allocated in 2029. That gives them tons of flexibility to front-load or back-load Micah's deal however they want. And here's where things get even more strategic. The Cowboys can lower his cap hit in the early years by giving him a big signing bonus and spreading it out across the life of the deal. That frees up money right now when they might still want to make moves elsewhere, especially with other players like CeeDee Lamb or even Dak's future looming. It's classic cap gymnastics, and the Joneses have been pulling it off for years. This isn't the first time they've played the long game. Remember when they signed Tyron Smith to that 9-year, $92 million contract? At the time, people were freaking out. How can you give that kind of deal to a lineman? But in hindsight, that contract aged like fine wine. Because as the market exploded, Tyron's deal stayed flat. The Cowboys were able to restructure it again and again, using it like a piggy bank to free up space every offseason. That's the kind of leverage they're hoping to build with Micah's deal. Get him locked in now, then reap the benefits as the cap rises. So yeah, $45 million is a lot. But if Dallas gets a 5th year and plays the structure right, it won't just be a good deal. It could be a brilliant one. It all comes down to how aggressive they're willing to be on term length and how confident they are that Micah will keep dominating 5 years from now. Here's something I want to hear from you. If it meant having a bit more financial flexibility in the future, would you be on board with a 5-year, $225 million deal for Micah? Drop your answer below and let me know what you'd do if you were running the front office. And while you're here, don't forget, if you're into this kind of cap talk and behind-the-scenes strategy, give this video a thumbs up. That lets us know you're enjoying the deeper breakdowns and want more of it on the channel. All right, let's rewind a bit and take a look at how quickly this whole market got flipped on its head. It's crazy how fast things move in the NFL. Let's go back just 5 years. 2020. That wasn't that long ago, right? Feels like yesterday. But in salary terms, It might as well be ancient history. Check this out. In 2020, the franchise tag number for a defensive end was $17 million. That was top dollar. Running backs? $11 million wide. Receivers? Around $16 million. Even offensive linemen, who are always in high demand, were tagged at just $14 million. And now here we are, just a few years later, talking about multiple defensive players pulling in over $40 million a year. You've got Myles Garrett at 40, TJ Watt a notch above that, and now Micah Parsons is about to reset the market again. So if you're wondering whether $45 million sounds ridiculous, well, yeah, it does. Until you realize the entire pay structure in the NFL has shifted in a big way. And that's exactly why the Cowboys have to act fast. Let's take Joey Bosa, for example. Back in 2020, he was the highest-paid defensive player in the league. He signed a deal worth $135 million over 5 years. That worked out to around $27 million a year, which at the time felt enormous. People were saying the Chargers were going all in on one guy. But now, that deal looks downright reasonable. That's the effect of the cap climbing year after year. And it's exactly why the Cowboys shouldn't get scared off by a big number like 45. It's also worth noting that Dak Prescott's cap hit in 2020 was $31 million, highest in the league at the time because he was on the franchise tag. Just 5 years later, that number feels like the starting point for elite quarterbacks. These contracts are growing fast, and the teams that understand that and plan ahead are the ones who stay competitive without blowing up their rosters. So when we talk about giving Micah that long-term, high-dollar deal, we've got to understand the larger picture. 5 years from now, we'll probably be looking back and saying, man, that was a bargain. That's just how the market works. The question is whether the Cowboys are bold enough to lock it in now and ride the wave upward, or if they'll hesitate and pay the price later. Let me ask you this. Do you remember when $22 million used to feel like wild money for a pass rusher? Can you believe how far we've come? Drop a comment if you remember what you thought when Bosa got his deal. And if you've stuck with me this far, hit that bell so you never miss a Cowboys breakdown. We're not done yet. Let's finish up with what's coming next and how this all might unfold in Oxnard. So now that we've broken down the numbers, the cap, and the strategy behind the scenes, it all leads to this one simple question. What happens next? Micah Parsons is expected to report to training camp, but whether or not he actually participates is still up in the air. That's the big watch. Will he suit up and go full speed? Or will we see a hold-in where he shows up but stays on the sideline until a deal gets done? It's not unprecedented, and it's honestly becoming more common around the league. It's a smart move for a player who wants to show good faith but still protect himself from risk. The Cowboys have had recent experience with this kind of situation. Take Zach Martin, for instance. He didn't hold out last year, and he didn't get fined because he handled things professionally. Then there's Trevon Diggs, who didn't show up for off-season workouts while he was rehabbing, which was a different kind of situation altogether. Every case is unique, but the underlying theme is clear. When you're a key piece of the Cowboys' future, the team eventually takes care of you. But here's what sets Micah apart. He's not just a top player. He's the face of this defense. He's the one selling jerseys, making highlight reels, and giving this franchise its swagger. Micah is the cash cow. That's not a dig, it's just facts. He drives attention. He drives pressure, and honestly, he drives hope. You take him off the field and this defense loses a lot more than just sacks. So the clock's ticking. Camp is here. The press conferences are coming. The media is going to ask the questions, and fans like you and me are going to be watching closely. Whether this deal gets done before Micah hits the field is still unclear. But what's obvious is that the time for action is now. Dallas has the leverage, the cap space, and the motivation to make this a win. All that's left is to pull the trigger. Let's end this with one last poll. What's your gut feeling? Does Micah get his deal before or after the team starts practicing in Oxnard? Drop your prediction in the comments, and let's see what Cowboys Nation thinks. And if you enjoyed this full breakdown, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 15,000, and with your help, we'll get there. Faster than Micah hits a quarterback. Catch you in the next one.